Hello, everyone. Good evening. For your hope in me and to help me create better stories, tell me in the comments where and when you listen to my stories, and get ready to start the story by liking and subscribing. Chapter 1: The Mountain Kingdom Awakens. Close your eyes now and breathe deeply. In and out. In and out. Let your body sink into comfort as we journey together back through time across vast distances to a land where mountains meet the sea. Picture, if you will, the ancient kingdom of Illyria. The year is 181 years before the Common Era would begin. The world is young and wild. The Adriatic Sea stretches like a sheet of hammered silver beneath the morning sun, its waves lapping gently, rhythmically, against rocky shores. Can you hear them? Those ancient waves whispering their eternal song. Shh, shh, against the stones. In this land of mountains and mystery, a young man named Gentius has just become king. He is perhaps 25 years old, though the ancient sources do not tell us exactly. His father, King Pleratus II, has died, and now the weight of the crown passes to his son. But do not imagine a crown of gold and jewels. No, the Illyrian kings wore simpler symbols of their authority. Perhaps a bronze circlet. Perhaps merely the respect of their warriors and the love of their people. Breathe in and out. Feel yourself sinking deeper into relaxation. Gentius stands on a hillside above his capital city of Skodra. The ancient name sounds like a whisper in the wind. Skodra, known today as Shkodër in modern Albania. Below him, the city awakens slowly. Smoke rises from cooking fires in lazy spirals. The scent of bread baking, of fish being prepared for the morning meal, drifts on the breeze. The young king's kingdom stretches before him like a living map. To the west, the Adriatic Sea glimmers in the early light. To the east, the mountains rise like the spine of some great sleeping dragon, their peaks still touched with snow, even in the warming season. The valleys between are clothed in deep green forests of oak and beech and pine. Rivers cascade down from the heights, their waters clear and cold and pure. Let your breathing match the rhythm of those ancient rivers. In and out, flowing, flowing, always flowing. Gentius is a tall man, strong from years of hunting in these mountains, from training with sword and spear. His hair is dark, his eyes darker still. He wears a simple tunic of undyed wool, practical clothing for a king whose realm is more wilderness than palace. The Illyrians are skilled sailors and feared pirates. Their swift ships, built of strong oak, can outrun almost any vessel on the Adriatic. For generations, they have controlled the sea routes, demanding tribute from merchants who pass through their waters. Some call them thieves, others call them simply practical. The sea is their highway, their livelihood, their inheritance. But Gentius has inherited more than ships and mountains. He has inherited a kingdom caught between greater powers, like a leaf caught between two grinding stones. To the south lies the kingdom of Macedon, once ruled by the great Alexander, now controlled by King Perseus. To the west, across the Adriatic, the Roman Republic grows stronger each year, hungrier, more ambitious. To the east, other Illyrian tribes watch and wait, some friendly, some hostile, all independent and proud. Breathe in peace. Breathe out tension. Let it all flow away like water down those ancient mountainsides. Gentius knows that to survive, to protect his people, he must be clever. He must be patient. He must learn the delicate dance of diplomacy while keeping his warriors strong and his ships ready. It is a heavy burden for a young king, but he does not flinch from it. Let us follow Gentius down from the hillside now, moving slowly, peacefully. As he walks the paths toward his city, his feet know these stones. He has walked here since childhood, first as a prince, learning his father's ways, now as king, bearing his own responsibilities. The path winds between ancient olive trees, their trunks twisted and gnarled with age. Some of these trees were already old when Gentius was born. They will still be standing long after his story ends. There is comfort in that continuity, in the patient endurance of trees, in the way they simply grow year after year, asking nothing, giving shade and fruit and beauty. As Gentius walks, people begin to emerge from their homes. A woman carrying a clay jug to fetch water from the well sees him and bows her head respectfully. He nods back, speaking her name. He knows many of his people by name, especially here in Skodra. A child, perhaps 4 years old, peers at him from behind his mother's skirt, eyes wide with wonder at seeing the king. Gentius smiles, a gentle smile that crinkles the corners of his eyes. He is not a remote king locked in a palace. He is a king who walks among his people. Feel your own muscles relaxing now as we walk these ancient streets, your shoulders dropping, your jaw unclenching, your hands lying still and peaceful. The city of Skodra sits beside a great lake, Lake Skodra, fed by mountain streams and rivers. In summer, the lake is a deep blue, reflecting the sky like a mirror. In winter, when storms blow down from the mountains, it turns gray and troubled. But even then, it teems with fish that feed the city. The lake has always been here. Gentius thinks as he walks. It will always be here. There is something soothing in that thought. His palace is not grand by the standards of Rome or Athens or the great cities of the East. It is a strong building of stone, with thick walls and narrow windows designed for defense as much as for living. Inside, the rooms are cool and dim, a welcome refuge from the summer heat. The floors are covered with woven rugs in patterns of red and black and cream, made by the skilled weavers of his kingdom. The furniture is simple but well made. Wooden chairs and tables, bronze lamps that burn olive oil, pottery vessels for wine and oil and grain. Gentius enters the main hall where his advisors wait. These are the men who helped his father rule, who now must help him. There is Plater, an old warrior who remembers 3 kings before Gentius, his face seamed with scars and weather, his mind still sharp as the bronze sword he carries. There is Epictetus, who keeps the accounts, who knows how much grain is stored in the royal granaries, how many ships are seaworthy, how much tribute has been collected from the coastal towns. There is Tuticus, who leads the warriors of the northern valleys, a man as hard and unyielding as the mountains he comes from. They bow to their young king. He gestures for them to sit. The morning light slants through the high windows, catching motes of dust that drift like tiny stars in the stillness. Breathe in and out. Let yourself drift like those peaceful motes of dust, floating, weightless, calm. My king, old Plator begins, his voice rough as gravel in a streambed. There is news from the south. King Perseus of Macedon sends greetings and wishes to discuss matters of mutual interest. Gentius nods slowly. He expected this. Perseus needs allies. The Romans grow stronger every year, and Perseus knows that one day, perhaps soon, they will come for him. He seeks to build a coalition, to bind the kingdoms of the region together against the Roman threat. What does he offer? Gentius asks quietly. Friendship, Plater says, and there is a hint of dry humor in his old voice. The friendship of kings is always offered freely, but wise men know it must be purchased like any other commodity. Epictetus consults a wax tablet covered in neat rows of figures. Perseus also hints at gold, my king, much gold, if we will stand with him when the Romans come. Gentius is silent for a long moment. Outside, a dove coos softly in the eaves of the palace. The sound is peaceful, domestic, timeless. How many doves have cooed in these same eaves? How many more will sing here when this moment has been forgotten? Let that soft cooing calm you now. Imagine it filling your mind, a gentle sound that smooths away all worry, all thought, weaving only peace. The Romans are far away, Tuticus says. His voice is different from Plater's, harder, younger, more certain. Our mountains protect us. Our ships control the sea. Why should we fear them? Gentius turns his dark eyes to the northern chieftain. My father taught me to study our enemies, he says softly. Rome is patient. Rome is thorough. Rome does not forgive. They have destroyed Carthage's power. They have humbled the feel time itself, slowing now as we rest in this ancient moment. There is no hurry. There has never been any hurry. All of time stretches out peacefully, endlessly, like the surface of the great lake beside the city. Gentius makes his decision. Send word to Perseus that we welcome his friendship. We will receive his ambassadors with honor, but we make no promises yet. We will watch. We will wait. We will prepare. The advisors nod. It is a wise answer. A balanced answer. Commit to nothing, but keep all doors open. This is how small kingdoms survive between great powers. The meeting continues, but we will let it drift into the background now, like voices heard from far away, indistinct and soothing. There are discussions of grain stores, slow current of a deep river, endless and necessary and, in its own way, peaceful. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, Gentius finally rises. The meeting is done. The immediate decisions are made. Now he has other duties. He walks through the city, past the marketplace where merchants spread their wares on woven blankets. There are olives and oil, cheese made from sheep's milk, grapes and figs, bronze jewelry and pottery, wool cloth dyed with murex purple and madder red. The air is full of voices, people bargaining, laughing, arguing, gossiping. This is the heartbeat of the city, the pulse of life that flows regardless of kings and wars and great matters of state. Breathe in that bustling life. Breathe out. Let it all blur into a gentle hum, a background sound like the buzzing of bees in summer. Soothing, natural, right. Gentius stops at a bread seller's stall. The woman is old, her face wrinkled like a dried apple, but her eyes are bright and alert. She recognizes him and starts to kneel, but he waves her up impatiently. "Your bread is the best in Skodra, grandmother," he says, using the respectful title for an elder woman. "I have missed it." She beams at him, pleased beyond measure that the king remembers her, and breaks off a piece of fresh bread, still warm from the oven. He takes it and eats, savoring the simple taste of wheat and salt and the faint sweetness of the crust. This is what he rules, he thinks. Not just mountains and ships and warriors, but this: warm bread, old women who smile, children who play in dusty streets, men and women who live and love and work and die in these valleys that have been home to their people since the beginning of time. Let yourself feel that deep connection now. You are part of a long chain of humanity stretching back through countless generations. All those people lived, breathed, worried, hoped, and then slept peacefully in the earth. You are connected to them all. You are safe in that great continuity. As afternoon deepens toward evening, Gentius makes his way out of the city again, following a different path. He climbs into the foothills, where the air is cooler and sweeter with the scent of pine. This is where he comes to think, to be alone, to shed for a moment the weight of kingship. He reaches a rocky outcrop that overlooks the lake and the city. From here, Skodra looks small and peaceful, a cluster of buildings beside the blue water, smoke rising from hearth fires as families prepare their evening meals. The mountains rise beyond, eternal and serene. The sun is beginning its descent toward the western sea, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber and deep rose. Gentius sits on the sun-warmed rock. He breathes deeply, letting the peace of the moment fill him. A hawk circles overhead, riding the thermal currents with barely a movement of its wings. It cries once, a sharp, clear sound that echoes off the mountainsides. Then silence returns, deeper than before. Let that silence fill you now. Deep, peaceful silence. The silence of mountains. The silence of stones that have waited patiently for 10,000 years and will wait 10,000 more. There is nowhere you need to be. Nothing you need to do. Just this moment. Just this breath. just this perfect, peaceful now. Gentius thinks about his kingdom, about the choices ahead. He thinks about his father, who ruled wisely, who taught him that a king's first duty is to his people, not to his own glory or ambition. He thinks about the future. But for now, in this moment, there is only peace. A hawk circles. The sun descends. The lake reflects the sky like a mirror of beaten copper. The city sleeps quietly below. And in this peace, Gentius makes a silent promise to his kingdom, to his people, to the mountains and the sea that have witnessed every generation of his ancestors. He will do his best. He will be wise when wisdom is needed. He will be strong when strength is required. He will protect them as long as he draws breath. The promise made, he feels a weight lift from his shoulders. Not the responsibility. That remains. That will always remain. But the fear, the doubt, the worry about whether he is worthy of this burden. In this moment, watching the sun paint the world in shades of gold, he knows he will do what he must. It is enough. Feel that peace flowing through you now. That acceptance, that letting go of worry and doubt. You are enough. This moment is enough. All is well. As twilight deepens, Gentius rises and makes his way back down the mountain path. The first stars are appearing in the eastern sky, those same stars that shone on his ancestors, that will shine on generations. The day is ending. The kingdom sleeps around him. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new decisions, new moments that will shape the future. But tonight, there is only this quiet, this calm, this gentle ending to the day. Let your own day end now. Let go of everything that came before. Tomorrow is far away, and you need not think of it. Tonight, there is only rest, only peace, only the soft darkness that holds you safely. Gentius lies down on his simple bed. The wool blanket is soft against his skin. Through the window, he can see a slice of night sky, studded with stars. A cool breeze moves the curtain gently, like a whisper, like a lullaby. His eyes close. His breathing slows and deepens. The young king sleeps, and his kingdom sleeps around him, cradled between the mountains and the sea, safe for one more night. And you too can sleep now. The first chapter of our story is complete. Let yourself drift, floating on that ancient lake beneath those ancient stars. All is well. All is peaceful. All is exactly as it should be. Rest now. Rest deeply. The mountains stand watch while you sleep. Chapter 2. The Dance of Diplomacy. Breathe slowly now, deeply and peacefully, as we continue our journey back through time. In and out, in and out. Each breath carries you deeper into rest, deeper into calm, deeper into the ancient world where our story unfolds. Months have passed since we last visited King Gentius in his mountain kingdom. The seasons have turned, as they always do, as they always will. Summer's heat has given way to autumn's gentle cooling. The grape harvest is complete, the wine pressed and stored in great clay vessels. The olives have been gathered, the oil extracted in stone presses turned by patient oxen. The granaries are full. The ships have been drawn up on shore for the winter. The kingdom is prepared for the cold months ahead. But winter in Illyria is not like winter in the far north. Snow may cap the highest peaks, but in the valleys and along the coast, the cold is gentle, manageable. Life continues, though at a slower pace, like a heart that beats more slowly in sleep. Gentius has aged in these months, though not in years. Only half a year has passed. He has aged in the way that responsibility ages a person, adding weight to the shoulders, depth to the eyes. He is learning what his father knew, that kingship is not glory and power, but rather an endless series of small decisions, each one carrying consequences he cannot always foresee. Let yourself sink into the rhythm of those months passing, seasons turning, days flowing one into another like water in a stream. There is no rush. There never was any rush. Time moves at its own pace, patient and eternal. Today, a ship has arrived in the harbor below Skodra. It is a fine vessel, its hull painted and polished, a purple sail furled against its mast. Purple, the color of kings and great wealth. This ship carries ambassadors from King Perseus of Macedon. Gentius stands on the shore, watching as the ship is moored, as men disembark and wade through the shallow water to the pebbled beach. He has dressed carefully for this meeting in his finest tunic of deep red wool, with a bronze brooch at his shoulder in the shape of an eagle. His warriors stand behind him, not threatening but present, a reminder that this kingdom, though small, is not without strength. The lead ambassador is a man named Glaucius. He is Greek, educated, smooth in his manners and his words. He bows deeply to Gentius, showing respect without subservience. This is a careful man, Gentius thinks, a man skilled in the delicate art of diplomacy. King Gentius, Glaucius says, his voice cultured and pleasant. King Perseus sends his warmest greetings and his hopes for friendship between your kingdoms. King Perseus is welcome in his greetings, Gentius replies, his own voice measured and calm. Come, you have traveled far. We will speak of friendship and matters of state after you have rested and refreshed yourselves. Feel the courtesy in these words, the civilized dance of hospitality. Even between nations that might one day be enemies, there is this, the shared understanding that travelers must be welcomed, that food and drink and rest are sacred obligations. The ambassadors are brought to the palace. They are given rooms, warm water for washing, food and wine. Only when they have rested does Gentius meet with them in the great hall. The hall has been prepared for this formal meeting. Torches burn in brackets on the walls, their flames casting dancing shadows. The floor has been swept clean, fresh rushes laid down. A fire burns in the central hearth, for autumn evenings grow cold in the mountains. The smell of burning wood, of pine and oak, fills the air with its ancient, comforting scent. Breathe that scent in your imagination. wood smoke. How many thousands of years have humans gathered around fires, warmed by those flames, lulled by that smell? You are connected to all of them now, to all those peaceful evenings beside fires that burned and died to ash and are forgotten. Glaucius speaks for King Perseus. He is eloquent, persuasive. He paints a picture of the world as Perseus sees it. Rome growing ever stronger, ever more ambitious. Rome, which has defeated Carthage, which has conquered Spain, which now turns its hungry gaze eastward toward the Greek kingdoms and beyond. Rome will not stop, Glaucius says, and there's genuine worry in his voice, not just diplomatic performance. They are like the tide, relentless and inexorable. They conquer, they rule, they absorb. What was once free becomes Roman. What was once proud learns to kneel. Gentius listens without expression. He has learned this skill, to listen fully without showing his thoughts, to let others speak until they are finished, to gather all the information before deciding. Glaucius continues. King Perseus proposes an alliance. Together with other kingdoms who value their freedom, we can resist. We can show Rome that the East is not theirs for the taking. We can preserve our independence, our ways, our very identity. And what, Gentius asks quietly, does King Perseus offer in exchange for this alliance? Glaucius smiles. He was waiting for this question. Friendship, he says. Military support should you need it. Trading rights. And gold, King Gentius. Much gold. He produces a document, a treaty written in Greek on fine papyrus. The terms are generous. Perseus offers 10 talents of gold immediately upon agreement, and more to follow. Military support if Illyria is attacked. Trading privileges in Macedonian ports. Let these details wash over you like gentle waves. Numbers and terms, specifics that matter in their moment, but blur with time. What remains is only the essence, a choice being offered, a path being presented. Gentius takes the document and reads it carefully. He is literate in Greek, educated by his father's tutors. He reads slowly, considering each clause, each promise, each obligation. His advisors watch him. Old Plater's face is impassive, but Gentius knows what the old warrior thinks. Rome is far away, but their reach is long. Be careful before making enemies of such a power. Epictetus calculates the value of the gold, thinking of what it could buy: more ships, better weapons, grain stores that could feed the kingdom through a harsh year. Tuticus thinks only of glory, of resistance, of standing firm against any threat. But the decision is Gentius's alone. This is the burden of kingship. The fire crackles softly in the hearth. Outside, rain has begun to fall, a gentle autumn rain that patters on the roof and whispers against the stones. The sound is soothing, eternal. Rain has fallen on these mountains since they first rose from ancient seas. Rain will fall here long after the last human voice has faded to silence. Let the rain lull you now. Each drop a tiny note in an endless symphony. Peaceful, natural, right. The offer is generous, Gentius says finally. But I must consider carefully. The friendship of kings is a serious matter. It should not be entered into lightly. Glaucius nods. He expected this. King Perseus understands and respects your wisdom. He asks only that you consider the alternatives. If you do not stand with us, you may one day face Rome alone. It is both promise and threat, delicately delivered. Join us, and we protect each other. Refuse, and you stand alone when the storm comes. Gentius meets the ambassador's eyes. I will consider, he says. You will have my answer before you depart. For now, please accept our hospitality. Rest. Enjoy the comforts of Skodra. The formal meeting ends. The ambassadors withdraw to their quarters. Gentius remains in the hall with his closest advisor. Gentius is silent for a long moment. Then he speaks, his voice barely above a whisper, but in the quiet hall, every word is clear. I think that Perseus is right. Rome will come. Perhaps not this year, perhaps not next, but they will come as surely as winter follows autumn. They have ambitions that span the world. Then we should ally with Perseus? Tuticus asks, eager. Perhaps, Gentius says. Or perhaps Perseus's war with Rome will destroy him. And those allied with him will be destroyed as well. If I tie our fate to Macedon, and Macedon falls, what happens to Illyria? Feel the weight of this question. The responsibility of choosing not just for oneself, but for thousands of people, for an entire kingdom. How does one choose when every path leads into mist and uncertainty? But if you refuse, Epictetus points out, and Perseus somehow triumphs, he will remember. And if you refuse and Rome eventually comes here, we will face them alone, without allies. Yes, Gentius says simply, these are the stones between which we are caught. They sit in silence, listening to the rain, watching the fire burn lower. These are not easy questions. There are no clear answers. There is only the need to choose, and then to live with the consequences of that choice. Breathe into that uncertainty. Life is always uncertain. The future is always hidden in mist. Yet somehow, humanity endures. Somehow, each generation makes its choices and lives its life and passes into memory. There is comfort in that continuity, in knowing that uncertainty is simply the nature of being human. Finally, Gentius rises. I will sleep on this, he says. In the morning, I will decide. He leaves the hall and makes his way to his private chamber. A servant has laid out his sleeping clothes, has placed a cup of warm, spiced wine on the table beside his bed. He drinks it slowly, letting the warmth spread through him. Cinnamon and honey, wine and comfort. He lies down, but sleep does not come immediately. His mind turns over the problem, examining it from every angle, like a man turning a stone to see all its facets. If he allies with Perseus, he gains. Be like the rain now. Let worry flow away. Let questions dissolve. There is only this moment, this breath, this soft darkness. Gradually, Gentius's thoughts slow. His breathing deepens. His body relaxes into the bed. Sleep comes at last, bringing dreams of mountains and ships, of eagles flying over the Adriatic, of a path through mist that becomes clear only as one walks it. The night passes. The rain continues. and then slowly stops. The clouds part, revealing stars. The moon rises. A crescent like a silver bow strung across the heavens. In the morning, Gentius wakes with his decision made. Sometimes the mind works in sleep, solving problems that seemed impossible in waking. He rises, washes, dresses. He feels calm, certain. The path ahead may be difficult, but at least he can see the next step. He calls for Glaucius and the other ambassadors. They meet again in the great hall, where servants have laid out a breakfast of bread and cheese, figs and olives, fresh milk and watered wine. Feel the peaceful rhythm of this meal. Simple foods eaten without rush. This too is civilization, the sharing of food, the courtesy of hospitality, the small rituals that bind humans together despite all their differences. When the meal is finished, Gentius speaks. I have considered King Perseus's generous offer, he says. I am honored by his friendship and his trust, but I must tell him, through you, that Illyria is not ready to commit to an alliance at this time. Glaucius's face shows disappointment, but not surprise. Gentius continues, however, I do not refuse outright. I propose instead a treaty of friendship and non-aggression. Illyria and Macedon will not make war on each other. We will trade freely. We will respect each other's territories. And, he pauses, I will accept a gift of friendship from King Perseus. Not payment for military alliance, but a gift between friends. It is a clever compromise, and Glaucius knows it. Gentius gets the gold without the obligation. Perseus gets a friendly neutral on his northern border, if not an active ally. Neither side gets all they wanted, but neither side gets nothing. How much gold? Glaucius asks. 5 talents, Gentius says. Half of what was offered for full alliance. A fair middle ground. Glaucius considers. This is beyond his authority to decide, but he can see that pushing for more might result in getting nothing at all. I will recommend this to King Perseus, he says finally. I believe he will accept. They clasp hands, the formal seal of agreement. It is done. Illyria has taken a small step toward Macedon, but kept one foot firmly independent. Let yourself feel the relief in this resolution. Not perfect, but acceptable. Not everything one might wish, but enough. Sometimes in life, enough is the best we can hope for, and it is sufficient. The ambassadors depart within a few days. Their ship sails north, disappearing into the hazy distance. Gentius watches it go from his usual perch on the hillside above the city. He has bought time. That is what this agreement really means. Time to watch and wait, to see how the great powers move against each other, to be ready to choose when the moment comes when choice can no longer be delayed. And for now, that is enough. The seasons continue their endless turn. Winter comes, cold but not harsh. Snow falls in the mountains but melts quickly in the valleys. The city hunkers down, conserving its stores, waiting for spring. Life slows but does not stop. Children are born. Old people die peacefully in their sleep. Couples marry. Disputes are settled. Stories are told around hearth fires. Songs are sung. Life goes on, as it always has, as it always will. Gentius governs his kingdom through the quiet months. He settles disputes, reviews accounts, plans for spring. He exercises with his warriors, keeping his skills sharp. He hunts in the mountains when the weather allows, bringing back deer and boar to share with his people. He is a good king, a present king, a king who cares for his people's welfare. And in the quiet hours, he thinks about the future. He knows the peace cannot last forever. Rome and Macedon will clash eventually. The question is when, and how he can protect his kingdom when that day comes. But these worries are for tomorrow. Tonight, as winter deepens, as snow falls softly on the mountain peaks, there is only warmth and safety. The fires burn bright in Skodra. The granaries are full. The people are content. Let yourself feel that contentment now. That simple satisfaction of basic needs met. Warm shelter, food enough, peace for one more day. These are the things that matter, really matter, beneath all the grand concerns of kingdoms and wars. Gentius sits in his hall, listening to a bard sing an old song, a story from the ancient days when the Illyrians were young and the world was new. The words are in his own language, the tongue his mother taught him, harsh and beautiful at once. The melody is ancient, passed down through countless generations, polished smooth by time, like a stone in a streambed. The song tells of a hero who voyaged across the sea, who faced terrible dangers, who returned home triumphant. It is a story of courage and cunning, of loyalty and love. It is the kind of story that reminds people who they are, where they come from, what they value. As the song ends, Gentius feels a deep peace settle over him. Whatever comes, whatever trials the future holds, his people have endured for countless generations before him. They will endure whatever comes next. They are rooted in these mountains, nourished by these rivers, as permanent as the stones themselves. And with that thought, as the fire burns low and the night deepens, we too can let ourselves drift into peaceful rest. The second chapter of our story closes. The kingdom sleeps beneath its blanket of stars. Let your eyes close now. Let your breathing slow. You are safe in these ancient mountains, cradled in this old story, held in the embrace of time itself. All is well. All is peaceful. All is exactly as it should be. Rest now. Sleep deeply. The mountains stand watch. The stars keep vigil. And you are safe, so safe, drifting into dreams as old as humanity itself. Chapter 3. The Gathering Storm. Breathe gently with me now, in and out, as we continue our peaceful journey through time. 3 more years have passed in the ancient world. It is now the year 171 before the Common Era. The world continues its slow turning, seasons flowing one into another like an endless river. King Gentius is now perhaps 30 years old. The years have seasoned him, have carved lines of thought and care around his eyes. He is no longer the young king finding his way, but a mature ruler who has guided his people through both abundance and difficulty. In these 3 years, much has remained the same. The mountains still rise eternal against the sky. The Adriatic still whispers its ancient song against the shores. The people of Illyria still fish and farm, hunt and weave, live and love beneath the patient gaze of the stars. This is the deeper truth beneath all the turbulence of politics and war. Life continues. The sun rises. Children laugh. Bread is baked. This eternal rhythm cannot be broken. No matter what kings and empires may do, let yourself feel that eternal rhythm now. Your heartbeat, steady and sure. Your breath, flowing in and out like tides. You are part of this great continuity, this endless dance of life. There is deep peace in that knowing. But on the surface, in the world of kingdoms and power, things have changed. The storm that Gentius saw gathering on the horizon has moved closer. King Perseus of Macedon has indeed received Roman demands, and he has refused them. The tension between Rome and Macedon has grown taut as a bowstring, ready to release. Gentius sits once more in his council chamber. The faces around him are familiar now. Old Plater, even more grizzled than before, but still sharp of mind. Epictetus, whose accounts grow more detailed each year as the kingdom prospers. Tuticus, whose northern warriors remain ready, always ready. And new faces too, younger men who have proven their wisdom and loyalty, who represent the next generation of leadership. Outside, spring has arrived. The world is green and fresh and new. Apple trees bloom in white clouds along the hillsides. Lambs bleat in the meadows. The lake sparkles blue and clean in the sunshine. It is a season of hope, of renewal, of life beginning again. Yet in this chamber, the talk is of war. Breathe in that contrast. Life and death, hope and fear, beauty and violence, all existing together, always, in every moment. This too is the nature of being human. We hold contradictions without breaking. We carry both joy and sorrow. We endure. News from the south, my king, Plato reports. His voice is calm, but Gentius can hear the undercurrent of concern. Rome has declared war on Perseus. They say he has broken faith, that he plots against them, that he threatens Roman interests. The Senate has voted for war. Gentius receives this news with outward calm, though his mind immediately begins calculating consequences. War between Rome and Macedon, the two great powers of the region locked in combat, and Illyria caught between them, like a man standing between two fighting bulls. How large is the Roman force? He asks. Epictetus consults his sources, reports from traders, from travelers, from the network of informants every wise king maintains. 2 legions have been dispatched, my king. Perhaps 12,000 infantry, plus cavalry and auxiliaries. They are commanded by a consul named Publius Licinius Crassus. 12,000 soldiers. It is a vast army by the standards of this region. Rome's military machine, honed by centuries of warfare, disciplined and relentless. Gentius thinks of his own forces, perhaps 3,000 warriors at most, if he called up every man capable of bearing arms. His strength is not in numbers, but in the difficulty of his terrain, the swiftness of his ships, the knowledge of his people, of every mountain pass and hidden valley. Let these numbers drift through your mind without anxiety. They are facts from long ago, from a world that has turned to dust. They cannot harm you. They are only shadows, only stories, only echoes of concerns that ceased to matter 2,000 years ago. And Perseus, Gentius asks, how does he respond? He musters his own forces, Plater says. He calls on his allies, and the old warrior pauses. He sends ambassadors here once more. Gentius nods slowly. Of course Perseus does. Now, with war actually begun, the Macedonian king needs every ally he can gather. The treaty of friendship Gentius signed 3 years ago, that careful middle ground, will no longer be sufficient. Perseus will want a firm commitment, will want Illyrian warriors fighting beside his own. When do these ambassadors arrive? Gentius asks. Within the week, my king. Gentius rises and walks to the window. Below, he can see the city going about its daily business. A woman hangs washing to dry in the sun. 2 men argue good-naturedly over the price of a goat. A dog lies sprawling in a patch of sunlight, utterly content. They do not know that great armies are marching, that decisions are being made that could change everything. Or perhaps they know and have decided, wisely, that worrying will not help, that life must be lived regardless. Be like that dog in the sunlight now. Feel the warmth on your skin. Feel the simple animal contentment of just being, without worry, without plans, without fear. This is always available to you, this simple peace of the present moment. The week passes quickly. Spring flowers bloom and fade. The fishing boats go out and return with their catches. Farmers plant their fields. Life continues its eternal work. When the Macedonian ambassadors arrive, Gentius recognizes their leader, Glaucius, the same smooth diplomat who came before. But Glaucius looks older now, worn by worry and hard travel. The polish is still there, the diplomatic skill, but beneath it, Gentius can see genuine desperation. They meet in the great hall, but the formality is less than before. There is urgency now, a pressure of time. King Gentius, Glaucius begins. King Perseus sends his greetings and reminds you of the friendship between your kingdoms. The war has begun, Glaucius continues. Rome has invaded Macedon with a great army. King Perseus has fought them and, gods be praised, has won the first encounters. At a place called Kallinikis, our forces drove the Romans back, inflicted heavy casualties. But Perseus knows this is only the beginning. Rome will not accept defeat. They will send more armies, more legions. They will not stop until they have conquered or been destroyed. Gentius listens, his face impassive, but his mind working rapidly. Perseus has won initial victories. This is significant. Perhaps the Macedonian king is not as weak as some suppose. Perhaps there is a chance he could actually resist Rome. King Perseus asks. No, he begs for your active support, Glaucius says, and there is real emotion in his voice now. Send your warriors to fight beside ours. Send your ships to harass Roman supply lines. Stand with us against the common enemy. And in exchange, King Perseus offers not 5 talents of gold, but 300. The sum is staggering. 300 talents of gold would make Illyria one of the wealthiest kingdoms in the region. It would buy ships, weapons, could feed the kingdom for years. It is an enormous sum, a measure of Perseus's desperation. The hall is silent. Even Epictetus, who calculates everything, seems stunned by the amount. Let that silence stretch and deepen. In silence, truth sometimes speaks more clearly than in words. In silence, the heart knows what the mind struggles to determine. 300 talents, Gentius repeats softly. It is a princely sum. It is the value King Perseus places on Illyrian friendship, Glaucius says. And there is more. When Rome is defeated, when, not if, my king, you will be rewarded further. Lands, trade rights, honors. King Perseus is generous to his friends. Teutychus leans forward eagerly. The young warrior chief can already see the glory, the wealth, the fame of defeating mighty Rome. But old Plator's face is troubled, and Epictetus looks thoughtful rather than excited. I must consider this. Gentius says, the friendship of kings is one thing, war is another, to draw my people into war with Rome. Rome will come for you eventually, whether you join us or not. Glaucius interrupts, then catches himself. Forgive me, my king, but it is true. Rome conquers. It is their nature. Today they fight Perseus. Tomorrow, if they defeat him, they will turn their eyes northward. Better to fight them now, while they are occupied, while they can be beaten. It is the same argument as before, but now backed by 300 talents of gold and the reality of armies already in the field. Gentius stands. Give me 3 days, he says. This is not a decision to make lightly or quickly. In 3 days, you will have my answer. The ambassadors withdraw. The council remains. For a long moment, no one speaks. Then Teutychus bursts out, 300 talents. My king, with that gold, we could field an army twice our current size. We could buy our destruction, old Plato interrupts, his voice harsh. Perseus offers gold because he is desperate. Desperate men make promises they cannot keep. If Rome defeats Perseus, and they may well do so, what happens to those who stood with him? Rome is not forgiving, young Teutychus. Rome remembers its enemies. But Plato, Epictetus says thoughtfully, the Romans are not yet at our borders. And if Perseus can actually resist them, perhaps even defeat them, then Glaucius is right. We will have sided with the winner. Sometimes the greatest risk is in not acting. Feel the weight of this dilemma. 3 paths, none certain, none safe. To join Perseus and risk Roman wrath. To refuse and risk being conquered alone later. To try to remain neutral and risk earning the enmity of both sides. How does one choose? What does your heart say, my king? Plato asks quietly. Gentius is silent for a long time. Finally he says, my heart says to protect my people, but my head cannot determine the best way to do that. Every choice carries danger. Then perhaps old Plater suggests you should trust your instincts, the wisdom that your father passed to you, the knowledge that sits in your bones. Gentius nods slowly. Perhaps I will walk and think, and then I will decide. He leaves the palace and makes his way up into the hills. It is late afternoon, and the light is golden and thick as honey. He climbs to his familiar outcrop, the place where he goes to think, to be alone with the mountains and the sky. Below, the lake spreads like a mirror, reflecting clouds. The city is small from here, peaceful, perfect. The mountains rise all around, eternal guardians, witnesses to everything human, unmoved by our brief dramas. Gentius sits on the worn stone and lets his mind grow still. He watches the light change as the sun descends toward the western sea. He watches birds wheel across the sky. He listens to the wind in the pine trees, that ancient sound, that peaceful whisper. Slowly, gradually, clarity comes. It is not a sudden revelation, but a gentle emergence, like dawn slowly lighting the world. He knows what he will do. His instinct, his bones, as Plater said, tell him the path. Let yourself, as the sun touches the horizon, painting the world in shades of copper and gold, Gentius rises. He knows his choice. It may not be the right choice. Who can know that until the wheel of time is turned? But it is his choice, made with full awareness, with care for his people, with hope for the future. He walks back down to the city through the gathering dusk. Stars begin to appear. The air cools. A crescent moon hangs like a silver comma in the western sky. The city lights its evening lamps, each small flame a declaration against the dark. We are here, we live, we endure. That night, Gentius sleeps deeply and dreams of ships sailing on a golden sea, of warriors standing firm on mountain heights, of a kingdom safe and prosperous beneath peaceful skies. They are good dreams, hopeful dreams. Whether they are prophetic, only time will tell. In the morning, he calls the Macedonian ambassadors to him. I have considered King Perseus's generous offer, he says formally. I am honored by his trust and his friendship, but I must tell him that Illyria cannot commit to active military alliance at this time. Glaucius's face falls. This is not the answer he hoped for, needed, was sent to obtain. But Gentius continues. However, Illyria will maintain its treaty of friendship with Macedon. We will not side with Rome against Perseus. Our ports will be open to Macedonian ships. Our merchants will trade freely with your people. And if opportunity arises to harass Roman interests without directly engaging their legions, we may take such opportunities. It is another careful middle path, another attempt to balance between the great powers. Not full commitment, but not neutrality either. A foot in both worlds, ready to shift weight as the situation develops. Is there no way to persuade you to fuller commitment? Glaucius asks, a note of pleading in his voice. Gentius shakes his head. My first duty is to my people. I will not lead them into a war whose outcome I cannot foresee, but neither will I abandon a friend. This is the best I can offer, and it is offered sincerely. Glaucius bows. He's disappointed, but he understands. A king must do what he believes is right for his kingdom. "I will convey your decision to King Perseus," he says, "and I will tell him that the friendship stands, even if the alliance does not." The ambassadors depart, their ship sailing south, carrying news that will disappoint but not entirely displease the Macedonian king. Some support is better than none. Some friendship is better than enmity. And Gentius watches them go, wondering if he has chosen wisely, knowing he will not know for years, perhaps not in his lifetime. This is the burden of leadership, to choose and then to live with the consequences, whatever they may be. Let that burden rest now. It is not yours to carry. It belonged to a man who died more than 2,000 years ago. His choices have long since played out. The consequences have long since been absorbed into the great flow of history. All that remains is the story, the echo, the gentle lesson about how humans struggle to choose rightly in impossible situations. The weeks pass, spring deepens into summer. The news from the south is mixed. Perseus wins some battles, loses others. The Romans prove as relentless as predicted, sending reinforcements, refusing to give up. The war grinds on, neither side able to strike a decisive blow. And Illyria watches and waits and maintains its careful balance. Gentius keeps his warriors ready but does not march them south. He keeps his ships prepared but does not openly attack Roman vessels. He walks the narrow path he has chosen, hoping it will lead his kingdom safely through the storm. The summer days are long and warm. Farmers tend their fields. Shepherds lead their flocks to high pastures. Fishermen cast their nets in the lake. Life continues its essential work, indifferent to the concerns of kings and empires. And in the evening, when the day's work is done, Gentius sometimes sits in his doorway and watches the stars emerge. Those same stars that shone on his ancestors, that will shine on generations yet unborn. Beneath their ancient light, his worries seem smaller, more manageable. The universe is vast. Time is. Let yourself rest now beneath those same stars. They shine on you too, connecting you to all of time, all of humanity, all the quiet moments when people have sat and watched the night sky and felt themselves part of something infinite. The third chapter draws to a close. The storm continues to build, but for now, the kingdom is safe. For now, there is peace. For now, there is this moment, this breath, this gentle darkness. Close your eyes. Let your body sink deeper into rest. You are safe here, in this story, in this ancient world that cannot harm you. You are witnessing history from a place of perfect safety, perfect peace. The mountains stand watch, the lake reflects the stars, and sleep comes gently, softly, carrying you down into dreams as deep and peaceful as the waters beneath the earth. Chapter 4. The Choices of Kings. Breathe with me now, slowly and deeply, as we approach the final chapter of our journey. In and out. Each breath carries you deeper into rest, deeper into peace, deeper into the timeless space where stories live forever. 2 more years have passed. It is now the year 169 before the Common Era. The war between Rome and Macedon continues, entering its 3rd year. It has become a grinding, exhausting conflict. Neither side able to achieve final victory. Both sides wounded and weary. King Gentius is now in his early 30s, at the height of his strength and wisdom. The years have taught him much about ruling, about patience, about the weight of responsibility. He has kept his kingdom safe through careful diplomacy, through refusing to be drawn into a war that is not his own. His people have prospered while others have suffered. The granaries are full. The ships ply their trade routes. Children play in the streets of Scodra. Life is good. Let yourself feel that satisfaction. The satisfaction of having navigated danger successfully, of having made wise choices, of having protected what matters most. This is a deep human need, to keep safe what we love. Feel that need fulfilled, that worry set aside. But peace, like all things human, is temporary. A wheel turns, and what was stable becomes uncertain once more. On a warm autumn day, when the leaves are beginning to turn gold and the grapes hang heavy on the vines, another ship arrives in the harbor. But this time, it is not Macedonian ambassadors who disembark. It is a different delegation entirely. Gentius stands on the shore, watching as Roman officials wade through the shallow water. They wear togas, that distinctive Roman garment, draped and folded with careful formality. They carry themselves with the confidence of representatives of a great power, a power that has never been defeated, never been humbled, never accepted any answer but submission. The lead official is named Marcus Antonius. He is younger than Gentius expected, perhaps 40 years old, with the sharp eyes of an intelligent man and the bearing of one accustomed to command. He bows to Gentius, but it's a minimal bow, just enough to observe. King Gentius, he says in Greek, the common language of diplomacy in this region, Rome sends greetings. Rome is welcome in its greetings, Gentius replies, his voice calm despite the sudden tension he feels. This visit was inevitable, he supposes, but that does not make it less dangerous. They walk up to the palace in formal silence. Gentius has prepared for this moment, has thought through various scenarios, various possible demands. But until the Romans speak, he cannot know what they truly want. Feel your own breath now, steady and calm. No matter what comes, breath continues. No matter what challenges arise, the body knows how to breathe, in and out, anchoring us in the present moment. In the great hall, with the familiar advisors present, Plater, Epictetus, Tuticus, and others, Marcus Antonius delivers his message. He speaks directly, without the flowery diplomatic language of the Greeks. This is the Roman way, blunt, clear. Rome is aware of your treaty with King Perseus, he says. We are also aware that you have refrained from active military support of Macedon. This has been noted. Gentius says nothing, waiting. There is more coming, he knows. This is only the introduction. However, Antonius continues, Rome believes the time has come for all kingdoms in this region to choose their allegiance clearly. The war cannot continue forever. One side will win, and one will lose. Those who stand with the winner will prosper. Those who stand with the loser will face consequences. And what, Gentius asks quietly, does Rome wish of Illyria? Neutrality at minimum, Antonius says. But Rome would prefer active friendship, an alliance sealed by treaty and by action. And in exchange, peace, trading rights throughout Roman territories, protection against any who might threaten you. The friendship of the most powerful state in the world. It is, Gentius thinks, remarkably similar to what Perseus offered. Different words, different promises, but the same essential bargain. Join us and prosper. Refuse and suffer. Let these political maneuvers drift through your mind like clouds across the sky. They have weight and substance in their moment, but they pass, as all things pass, leaving behind only the unchanging blue of the eternal sky. Rome does not offer gold? Gentius asks, curious despite himself. The claim is not entirely true. Rome has suffered defeats, setbacks, but there is truth in it nonetheless. Rome does win, eventually. Rome is patient, relentless, vast in resources and will. Old Plato shifts uncomfortably. Even he, who has seen much in his long life, feels the weight of this Roman confidence, this absolute certainty of their own destiny. You ask me to abandon an ally, Gentius says. We ask you to recognize reality, Antonius replies. Perseus cannot win. It is only a matter of time. He may win battles, but he cannot win the war. Rome will send more legions, and more after that, until Macedon is subdued. This is inevitable. And what if I choose to remain neutral? Gentius asks. To maintain friendship with both sides, to commit to neither. Antonius's face hardens slightly. There are no neutrals in this war, King Gentius. Not anymore. Rome remembers those who helped her, and those who did not. When the war is over, and it will end with Roman victory, every kingdom will be judged by their actions during the conflict. Do you wish to be judged as a friend, or as one who stood aside when friendship was requested? It is both offer and threat, carrot and stick, delivered with Roman efficiency. Gentius feels the weight of the choice pressing down on him. For years, he has walked a narrow path between the powers, maintaining balance, keeping his kingdom safe. But Antonius is right about one thing. That path is closing. The time is coming when he will have to choose. But not today, not yet, not until he has thought this through, weighed all factors, consulted with his people. And Gentius is left, once more, with an impossible decision. Feel the weight of that decision, and then let it go. It is not yours to carry. It never was. You are safe here, in this moment, in this place where the past cannot touch you, where the future has not yet arrived. There is only now, only breath, only peace. That night, Gentius cannot sleep. He lies in his bed, staring at the shadows on the ceiling, his mind turning over the problem from every angle. Rome offers certainty. But it is the certainty of the master to the servant. If he allies with Rome, Illyria will be safe. But will it be free? Rome is notorious for turning allies into subjects, for gradually absorbing conquered territories into its growing empire. But if he refuses Rome, and Rome defeats Perseus, which seems increasingly likely, what then? Will Roman legions march north, demanding submission, exacting revenge for his refusal? And what of Perseus? The Macedonian king has been a friend, of sorts. To abandon him now, when he is struggling, seems dishonorable. But is honor worth the destruction of his kingdom? Is loyalty to a foreign king more important than the welfare of his own people? Round and round his spots go, chasing each other like wolves after prey, never catching, never resolving. Finally, he rises. He dresses and slips out of the palace, walking through the sleeping city, up into the hills. The night is cool and clear. The stars blaze overhead in their thousands. The moon, nearly full, paints everything in silver and shadow. He reaches his familiar outcrop and sits, letting the peace of the night seep into him. Below the lake is a pool of silver. The mountains are dark silhouettes against the star-strewn sky. A nightbird calls, its voice pure and lonely and beautiful. Breathe in the peace of this night. Breathe in the cool air, the silence, the vast stillness of the sleeping world. This is what endures beneath all the turmoil of human affairs. This peace, this beauty, this eternal now. And sitting there, in that stillness, Gentius makes his decision. It is not based on calculation, not on weighing probabilities and outcomes. It is based on something deeper, on what his heart tells him is right, even if it proves to be wrong. He will not abandon Perseus, not completely. He will not ally with Rome, will not turn his back on a friend who is struggling. It may be foolish, it may cost him everything, but some things are more important than safety. Some things are more important than survival itself. Honor, for instance, loyalty, the ability to look oneself in the mirror without shame. Feel that clarity of decision, that moment when the path becomes clear, even if the destination remains uncertain. There is relief in such moments, in simply knowing what one will do, regardless of consequences. As dawn approaches, painting the eastern sky with bands of rose and gold, Gentius rises and walks back down to his city. He feels lighter, as if a burden has been lifted. The decision is made. Now he must live with it, for good or ill. In the morning, he calls his council together. They gather in the familiar hall, these men who have guided the kingdom through so many challenges. They see something in Gentius's face that tells them he has decided. I have thought long and carefully about Rome's offer, he begins, and about our friendship with Perseus, and I have come to this conclusion. Illyria will not ally with Rome against Macedon. There is a moment of shocked silence. Tuticus looks triumphant. Epichatus looks worried. Old Plater simply nods, as if he expected this all along. I know the dangers, Gentius continues. I understand that Rome is powerful, that they are likely to win this war eventually. But I also know this. If we abandon Perseus now, if we side with Rome out of fear, we lose something essential. We lose our honor. We lose our independence of spirit. We become merely one more kingdom that knelt because it was expedient. My king, Epichatus ventures, honor is admirable, but it cannot defend against Roman legions. No, Gentius agrees. But our mountains can. Our knowledge of this land can. Our determination to remain free can. Rome is powerful, but Rome is not invincible. And if we must fight them one day, I would rather fight as free men who chose their path than as rebels against a master we submitted to. Let yourself feel the courage in this decision, not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act rightly despite fear. This is true courage, not foolhardiness, but moral clarity. What will you tell Perseus? Plato asks. I will send word that Illyria stands with Macedon, Gentius says. Not with a vast army, we are too small for that, but with what we can offer. Our ships will harass Roman supply lines. Our warriors will raid their supply depots. We will make the Romans' hold on this region costly and difficult. And if Perseus can inflict enough damage, if the war becomes expensive enough, perhaps Rome will negotiate rather than continue bleeding treasure and men. It is a reasonable strategy, or at least not an insane one. Make the cost of conquest so high that even mighty Rome will think twice. It has worked for other peoples in other times. Perhaps it can work for Illyria. The council debates the details. How many ships to commit? Which warriors to send? How to protect their own borders while conducting raids. Gradually, a plan emerges. It is not perfect, but it is workable. And so the die is cast. Gentius sends word to Perseus. Illyria will fight beside Macedon. Perseus, desperate for any support, welcomes this news with joy and relief. He sends back messages of friendship and gratitude. He promises rewards and honors when the war is won. But both men know the truth. The war may not be won. Rome is indeed powerful, indeed relentless. This is a gamble, and the stakes are everything. Let that sense of risk, of uncertainty, say it. Wash over you, and then recede like a wave. All of life is risk. All of existence is uncertainty. We can never know how our choices will unfold. We can only choose as well as we can and then accept whatever comes. The seasons turn. Autumn deepens into winter. The year is now 168 before the Common Era, the final year of Gentius's reign, though he does not know it yet. The winter is harsh, with heavy snows in the mountains and cold rains along the coast. But Gentius's warriors are mountain people, adapted to such weather. They conduct raids on Roman positions, swift strikes, followed by retreats into terrain the Romans cannot follow. They burn supply depots, ambush convoys, make themselves a nuisance out of proportion to their numbers. For a time, it seems to work. The Roman campaign falters. Their soldiers are cold and hungry. Their supply lines stretched thin and constantly harassed. The consul leading the campaign grows frustrated, angry at these mountain bandits who will not stand and fight, but only strike and flee. But Rome is patient. Rome is thorough, and Rome remembers. In the spring of that final year, a new Roman army arrives. It is led by a different consul, a man named Lucius Anicius Gallus. Unlike his predecessor, Gallus does not try to invade the mountains. Instead, he does something unexpected. He isolates them. Roman ships blockade the coast, preventing Illyrian vessels from raiding supply lines. Roman forces, seal the mountain passes, preventing the warriors from descending to the lowlands. And then Gallus simply waits. It is a brilliant strategy. He does not try to conquer the unconquerable mountains. He simply cuts them off from the world, lets them sit isolated while he deals with other matters. And chief among those other matters is Perseus. The war between Rome and Macedon reaches its climax at a place called Pydna. There, on a summer day, the Roman legions crush the Macedonian phalanx in a decisive battle. Perseus flees, is captured, and his kingdom falls. Breathe deeply now. Empires rise and fall. Kingdoms come and go. But breath continues. Life continues. The eternal river flows on, regardless of what humans build or destroy. News of Pydna reaches Gentius in his mountain fortress. He receives it in silence, his face impassive, but his heart heavy. He knows what this means. With Perseus defeated, Rome's full attention can now turn to Illyria. There are no more distractions, no more divided focus. Rome is coming, and this time they will not be denied. His advisors gather around him. Even Teuticus looks sobered now. The reality of what they face has become clear. "We can still fight," Teuticus says, but his voice lacks conviction. "These mountains will be our tomb if we insist on fighting a war we cannot win," Plater interrupts gently. "My king, we are brave, we are skilled, but we are not suicidal. Rome will starve us out if we retreat to the mountains. They will burn our cities if we try to defend them. They have unlimited resources and unlimited patience. What we do not have is allies. Perseus is finished. We stand alone." ... Gentius looks around at his council, these men who have been his guides and supporters. He sees in their faces the same knowledge he carries in his heart. It is over. The gamble has failed. Rome has won. "What do you counsel?" he asks quietly. Plater speaks, his old voice gentle. "Surrender, my king. Negotiate the best terms we can. Save our people from destruction. This is not cowardice. This is wisdom. We fought with honor. We stood by our ally. We resisted as long as resistance was possible. But now the time has come to accept reality. Feel the sadness in this moment, but also the grace of knowing when to fight and when to yield. The grace of putting one's people before one's pride. This too is courage, of a different and harder kind." Gentius sits in silence for a long time. Outside, summer sun shines on the city of Scodra. Children play in the streets. Women draw water from wells. Men repair fishing nets and tend to their shops. They do not yet know that their king is contemplating surrender, that their world is about to change forever. Finally, Gentius speaks. "Send word to the Roman commander. Tell him that King Gentius wishes to discuss terms." The words cost him much to speak, but once spoken, he feels a strange peace. The struggle is the end. May you rest as peacefully as the ancient kings, as deeply as the mountains, as completely as the stars that watch over all.